The Grand Hall of the Empire was never this quiet. More than 5,000 species stood in attendance. From tall, crystal-bodied Zalari to the flame-eyed Draxan, from bone-armored Zarok to floating, jelly-like Kur, every kind of alien citizen had come to hear their leader speak. On every screen across the galaxy, her face appeared calm, strong, and unreadable. She had not spoken in public for 2 years. And now, the Supreme Empress Kalira herself was standing before the universe. Her golden armor shimmered. Her silver cloak trailed behind her like a comet. She was beauty and terror mixed into one. No one dared speak. No one blinked out. 1,000 cameras hovered in the air. Every soldier stood still. Even the winds from the floating cities above Vorn Prime seemed to pause in respect. Then she said it that soft, almost a whisper. One word, Eli. Silence. The room didn't understand. The name had no meaning in their languages. No title, no history. Just 4 simple sounds. Eli, she repeated. Her voice cracked, and that crack broke the galaxy. Her chief guard blinked. Her advisor's eyes widened. The whisper passed like fire through the crowd. Aliens turned to each other, confused. Who? Was Eli? A new enemy? A lost planet? But then something stranger happened. The Empress turned off the official speech scroll. She stepped away from the light. Walked forward, alone. I was going to give you a speech, she said, her voice calm but tired. A powerful one. About our future, about control, about expanding our grip over Sector 9. She stopped walking. Her silver cloak stopped flowing. And she looked up not at the council, but at the stars on the ceiling dome. But I'm tired of lies. A long pause. I didn't come here to speak as your ruler today. I came here as someone who lost something. People began to whisper. Counselors shifted in their seats. This was not in the plan. She had broken royal protocol. The cameras were still rolling. Billions were watching. I once met a human, Kalira said. A long time ago, when I was no one. Now it made sense. The word, human, stirred the crowd. Humans were strange beings, fierce, unpredictable. Many saw them as dangerous. Many others called them extinct. After the last conflict, their home world was silent. No ships, no signals. Just ruins. Why would an empress speak of them now? His name was Eli, she continued. He wasn't a soldier. He wasn't trained. He had no translation chip, no armor, no orders. Just dirt on his hands and fire in his eyes. She smiled. Faintly, a rare thing. He saved my life. Now the silence turned heavy. Soldiers stiffened. High-caste aliens whispered through their neural bands. Who was this human? Why had no one heard of him before? I was a diplomat back then, Kalira said. A foolish one. I thought I understood war, politics, danger. I didn't. She began to walk again, this time without the usual grace. As if each step was pulling up an old memory she had buried deep. It was the moon of Telvarate. The pirates had taken control. I went to speak for peace. They didn't want peace. Her voice dipped low. They wanted trophies. One of the younger officers gasped. Many looked away. I was left bleeding, broken, tossed in a crater like garbage. She raised her eyes. Again, and that's where Eli found me. A hologram lit up behind her, unplanned. It flickered with dust, unstable. But the crowd could see it. A tall, brown-skinned human, clothes torn, face smeared with dirt and blood, holding a rusted metal pipe, standing over 5 dead pirate bodies, 1 man, 1 weapon. No armor. That's him, Kalira whispered. The image paused. I couldn't understand him, she said. He spoke in that strange human tongue, but he pulled me out of the crater, fed me from a can, stayed awake all night guarding me with that same pipe. The guards in the hall now exchanged looks. Some seemed disturbed, others curious. But the strangest thing? She said, "He didn't ask for anything, no reward, no thanks. He didn't even know who I was." She turned back toward the crowd. Before I passed out, he smiled and said just 3 words. The Empress paused again, this time longer. What were the words? Someone from the back asked, "Against all royal rules." She didn't punish him. She answered, "You'll be okay." The crowd remained quiet. I woke up days later on a rescue ship, Kalira continued. He was gone, no trace, no signal, no explanation. And then, the impossible. She lowered her voice. I looked for him. For years. This statement shocked her council more than anything else. The High General stepped forward, alarmed. "Your Grace, this is not wise to share publicly." The people, she raised a single hand. He stopped instantly. "I became Empress," she said. "I led conquests. I sat on thrones made of stone and fire. I ruled empires." She looked back to the image of Eli, but I never stopped wondering where he went or why he left. Another voice spoke, one of the older noble advisors. Perhaps he was a trick, a spy, or a hallucination. Humans were known to. He was real, she snapped. Her voice echoed like thunder, real enough to change me. She stepped down from the stage. This empire thinks strength comes from force, from domination. But the strongest being I ever met didn't need a ship or an army. The image behind her changed again. Now it showed a battle log. A single human ship fending off 3 Vornar-class destroyers. The human ship had no shields. Only clever tricks and raw guts. "Humans aren't extinct," she said, walking slowly through the rows of stunned soldiers. "We just stopped looking." Now the council was in panic. Messages flew across neural lines. They wanted the cameras off. But she had locked the system. Everyone was still watching. "I'm telling you this now," she said louder. "Because I found something." She raised her hand. A small device hovered beside her palm. This came from the edge of wild space. Deep beyond any charted map, it's human tech. She activated the device. A rough, broken voice played. "If you're hearing this, I didn't leave you, I had to disappear." Gasps, aliens shouted. Some stood in shock. The voice continued. "Kalira, I hope you're safe. I hope you still believe peace is worth fighting for. I couldn't stay then. But maybe now I can come back." The message ended. Kalira let her hand fall. "I am sending ships," she said. "Not war fleets. Just searchers. No weapons. Only hope." The general stepped forward again, angry this time. "Your Grace, what if it's a trap?" She faced him directly. "Then I will fall into it alone." The room went silent again. No one dared speak. Then slowly, one by one, members of her royal guard removed their helmets and knelt. A sign of loyalty, a sign of faith. The Empress turned toward the camera feeds. She knew billions were still watching. I met a human who saved my life, who asked for nothing, who showed me the power of kindness in a universe built on fear. Her eyes were steady now. No more tremble in her voice. His name was Eli. And if he's still out there, I will find him. She turned off the camera feed herself, but the message had already traveled faster than light. Across the stars, people were already whispering the name Eli, the human who once saved. She thought she was dying. Then a human climbed out of the smoke. Before she was Empress Kalira of the Galactic Throne, she was just Kale, a young noble-born diplomat with sharp eyes and a brave heart, but no experience in real danger. It was supposed to be a peaceful mission. The Council of Lords had sent her to Telvarate, a mining moon deep in the outer sectors. Pirates had taken control of the surface. The Council wanted a peaceful deal. No war, just talk. Kale was proud. She wore her family crest. She brought no weapons, only words. She believed in peace, But peace didn't matter to pirates. The landing. Shuttle was shot down. Kale remembered the sound like a sky being torn in half. The explosion shook the air. Her guards screamed. Metal screamed louder. And then came the silence. She woke up in a crater, her head bleeding, armor cracked, ribs burning with pain. Above her, dark smoke rose into the purple sky. The shuttle had become fire. She could see her guards' bodies motionless. The diplomatic flag was torn and burning. Kale tried to stand. A shadow moved, then another. She saw them, 3 pirates. Big, sharp-toothed beings with skin like old metal. They carried curved blades and plasma hooks. Their eyes were hungry. Alive, one said in broken galactic. Good, she screamed. They dragged her from the crater. She fought, but she was too weak. One of them struck her in the face. Her vision blurred. Send message to the council, the other pirate said. Tell them we want double, or she dies slow. They chained her to a post near the broken shuttle. Her arm was dislocated. Her vision swam. Blood covered her face, but still she didn't beg. She remembered thinking, I am a daughter of the throne. I will not die begging. She waited for death. And then she heard a strange voice. It didn't speak galactic. It didn't sound alien. It sounded human. Hey, Kale's eyes opened. The sun was setting behind the smoke. The pirates were gone for now. And standing there, half hidden, behind a broken metal wall, was a man, dirty, thin, his clothes torn, his skin tanned and burned, a metal pipe in one hand. He didn't look like a soldier. No badge, no armor. Just a sharp stare and a tense grip. He stepped closer. Kale blinked. You're not real. He crouched beside her. His hands gently touched her wrist. She winced. Sorry, he said softly. I'm gonna get you out. She didn't understand the words, but his voice. It wasn't cruel. It wasn't angry. It was calm. He looked her in the eyes. Hold still. He pulled a small tool from his belt. It sparked. The chains hissed. Then click, her hands were free. Her vision dimmed. She fell forward. He caught her. Stay awake, he whispered. She didn't know how, but she stayed awake. The next hour passed like a dream. She lay behind some wreckage while the strange man moved around, fast and silent. He set traps, sharpened sticks, moved fuel canisters. She saw him drag one pirate's body into the open as bait. He didn't speak to her again. He just worked. Kale tried to sit up, but her chest burned. Then she heard it. The pirates returning. Their voices were loud, angry. What happened? Trap. Who did this? Where is she? Then came the fight. Kale didn't see everything. Just flashes, the sound of metal hitting bone, a body flying through the air, the man screaming more like growling. As he fought. Then silence. And the man came back, blood on his face, a deep cut on his arm. But standing. They're not coming back, he said. Kale stared at him. Her translator implant couldn't understand him, but she understood one thing clearly. He saved her. Alone, he sat beside her, opened a can, and handed it to her. The food smelled terrible, but she ate it. He gave her water, then took off his outer shirt and wrapped it around her bleeding leg. He spoke again. Name's Eli. What's yours? She couldn't answer. Her throat wouldn't work. He smiled. That's fine. You'll be okay. He leaned back, watching the smoke. She whispered the only word she could. Why? He looked confused. So she pointed to herself. Then to him. Why, save me. Eli looked up at the sky. Then down at her. And then he said it again. You'll be okay. That night, she drifted in and out of sleep. He kept guard. Didn't rest. Every time she opened her eyes, he was still there watching, listening, ready. At some point, she whispered, Thank you. He didn't respond, but he smiled. When Kale finally woke again, the rescue ship had landed. Flashing lights. Guards with weapons. Medical teams rushing forward. Eli was gone. Vanished. She asked the medics. They saw no one. No sign, no footprints. Just 3 dead pirates and an unconscious diplomat. Later, the data log showed nothing. No man, no human life form nearby. The council called it hallucination from trauma. But Cale knew the truth. He was real. Years passed. Cale never told the full story. Only the part that made sense, that pirates attacked her, and she barely survived. But in her mind, she always saw the same image. A man with a pipe, blood on his face, fire in his eyes, and those words, "You'll be okay." As Cale rose through the ranks, she began searching. Quietly, secretly, she asked historians about humans. She read the records of Earth. She learned about their wars, their bravery, their chaos, and their kindness. Most reports said humans were extinct. Some said they had gone into hiding after the last galactic war. No one had seen a confirmed living human in over 10 years. But she didn't stop. She searched outer colonies, checked old Earth stations. Once, she followed a report of a man who helped a village during a plague, then disappeared. Another time, she found a hidden beacon with human language signals. The tech was old, still running, still waiting. No answers. Only ghosts. Then she became Empress. And all searching had to stop. The galaxy was watching her. Now. War, power, expansion. That was her duty. But deep inside her heart, one quiet mission remained. Find Eli. She kept a small hollow image on her personal ship. A blurry shot from the rescue drone. One frame. 1 second. A human man crouched beside a bleeding alien girl. The photo was never made public, but she looked at it every night, and sometimes, when the wars were loud and the council meetings cold, she would touch the edge of the hollow and whisper, "You were real." One day, deep in the Empire's data vaults, she found something odd. A message, buried, sealed, marked as unclassified human language. Unknown. It had been drifting in space for 15 years. The signal was weak, damaged. But her team repaired it. And when it played, her heart stopped. "If you're hearing this, I didn't leave you." His voice, real. "I had to disappear." Cale didn't cry. Empresses don't cry. But that night, she didn't sleep. She stared at the stars from her chamber window, remembering that bloody sunset, that pipe in his hand, and that quiet voice in the middle of fire. The galaxy thought she ruled everything, but only one person ever made her feel safe, and he was out there. The next day, she called a meeting of the High Council. One man vanished, one war ended, and no one knew why except the Empress. The Empress sat in her private chamber, away from the cameras, away from the guards. Outside, the capital city floated above clouds. Ships moved like stars around the great towers. Everyone believed the Empire was stable, controlled, eternal. But inside her heart, Kalira was not at peace. It had been over 20 years since the moon of Telvarate. 20 years since she saw him. Eli. The human who saved her. Life. The human who vanished like smoke. Back then, she was young. Just a rising figure in the lower ranks of the diplomatic caste. Her survival made her famous. But no one believed her when she spoke of a human savior. Hallucination. Stress-induced memory. Romantic fantasy. That's what they called it, even. The council laughed when she once said, "He saved me. I owe him my life." So Kalira stopped talking about Eli, but she never stopped thinking about him. Years passed. She rose quickly. By the age of 40, Kalira had the power of 10 star systems under her name. She commanded fleets, signed peace deals, and outmaneuvered warlords. But she never used force the same way others did. She avoided mass attacks. She ordered warning shots, not full strikes. She gave her enemies a chance to surrender. The generals called her weak, But her wars ended faster. Her people died less. What no one understood was this. Kalira wasn't afraid of power. She was afraid of becoming the kind of person Eli would have fought against. There was one war that nearly swallowed everything. The Valkyrie Uprising, a blood feud that had burned for generations. The Valkyrie were insect-like creatures with hard shells and no fear of death. They believed in only one thing: strength. Mercy was seen as weakness. And they had never lost a war. Until they faced Kalira. Her advisors wanted total destruction. Burn their homeworld, they said. End the problem forever. She nodded. Then she did the opposite. She flew alone to the Valkyrie moon. No fleet, no weapons. Just one message. She walked into the center of their hive fortress, unarmed. They hissed. They screamed. Their queen prepared her venom blade. Kalira simply bowed. I came to talk, she said. The queen laughed. You came to die? No, Kalira replied. I came to end a war. Like someone once ended one for me. The queen paused. Who? Kalira didn't answer. But that night, the queen called back her armies. A truce was signed. And the Valkyrie war ended without a single shot fired. Back on her ship, her commanders were confused. Why? They asked. Why risk your life? Why not just crush them? Kalira gave a simple answer. Because death doesn't always bring peace. But inside, she was thinking of Eli. He could have killed the pirates that night and left her to bleed. But he didn't. He stayed. He helped, even when she was a stranger, even when she was useless. That moment became her compass, and it guided her. More than any training, any law, or any crown, she tried to find him again. 10 years after her rise to the throne, she sent special scouts into uncharted space. They searched dead stations, empty colonies, even Earth's ruins. They found bones. They found stories, but not him. Once, a report came in from a trade post on the edge of wild space. A group of miners claimed a brown-skinned human helped defend them during a plague, then disappeared before authorities arrived. No records, no footage, no DNA. But Kalira knew that was him. She ordered the report sealed, not because it was dangerous, but because she wanted no one else to chase him. Eli had risked everything to vanish. She didn't want to undo that unless he wanted to return. But then the galaxy changed. A new threat appeared, the Horus Combine. A mechanical species with no emotion, no rest, no purpose beyond conquest. They began destroying outer colonies. Planet by planet. The Empress prepared for war, but her heart hesitated. She remembered the calm in Eli's voice. The way he never bragged, never threatened, just action. Just care, just quiet courage. She met with the council. They demanded total military action. We must destroy them first, her warlord said. Kalira looked at the stars. What if someone tried talking? She asked. Everyone stared. Talking to machines? The warlord mocked. No, talking to what's left inside them. She said. They laughed, but she sent a signal anyway. The Horus answered, a cold voice, robotic, empty. Speak. She spoke of peace, of coexistence, of a galaxy that didn't need more fire. They responded. Why should we listen to you? She paused. Then she said something strange. You don't have to listen to me. But once, I listened to someone who had no power at all. And it changed me. There was a long pause on the line. Then, the Horus cut communication. Everyone thought the war had begun. But the next day, the Horus retreated. No reason given. They left the outer worlds, untouched. Kalira smiled. Another war avoided. Another lesson from a human who never even knew what he planted in her mind. One night, years later, Kalira stood in her starlight garden. It was a quiet place. Only the wind and the water. She stood there, holding a small holoframe. Eli's blurry image. The one from her rescue drone. She stared at it. "You changed me," she whispered, "even when no one believed you were real." And then the news came. An old message, buried in debris, a human signal. The tech team decrypted it. A voice played. "If you're hearing this, I didn't leave you." Kalira froze. Ilay. The voice was cracked, full of static, but it was him. "I had to disappear." Why? She needed to. No. The message ended. "I hope you're safe. I hope you still believe peace is worth fighting for." Kalira stared at the message for hours. She played it over and over. The words felt like home, like everything she had searched for. And suddenly, it made sense. He didn't just save her life. He saved millions. Because if she had died back then, if Eli hadn't pulled her out, there would be no Empress Kale IRA. There would be no Valkyrie truce. No peace with thee, or us. No mercy led empire. One quiet human man had changed everything. And no one knew. Until now. She stood before her council and said his name. They were shocked, angry, confused. Why speak of him? They asked. "He is gone." "No," she replied. "He is coming back." Kalira looked at the galaxy map. The message had come from deep space, somewhere past the shattered belt, a place full of dead stars and lost ships. She turned to her navigators. "Send search ships," she said. "Not soldiers, no weapons. Only sensors and translators." "Just that?" the general asked. Kalira nodded. "If he sees war coming for him, he'll disappear again." They didn't understand, but they obeyed, because she was the Empress, and her voice had stopped wars. Behind her throne, the wall held a single sentence now, words she had once heard in pain, bleeding in a crater, from the mouth of a man who should not have been there. "You'll be okay." And the galaxy forgot him. She didn't, and now the stars whispered his name. The Empress didn't sleep, not after hearing that voice again. Ilay. The message was real. The tech wasn't faked. The voice wasn't a trick. It was him, and it was recent, only 7 months old, hidden deep in the wild reaches beyond mapped space. The scientists said the message was sent from a place called Null Field Sector 9X. It was a dead zone. No communication, no star beacons, no known life. Even the Empire's best ships avoided it. Most believed it to be cursed. But Kalira knew better. If Eli had hidden anywhere, it would be there. She summoned her search commanders at dawn. 12 elite explorers stood before her. No weapons, no warships. Just sensor arrays, signal decoders, translation drones, and tracking tech. "This is not a rescue mission," Kalira said. "This is not a military act. This is something personal." They didn't question her. She handed them a copy of the voice file. "If you hear this voice again, report directly to me." One of the captains, a soft-eyed Lenthari, asked quietly, "Your Grace, is he dangerous?" Kalira gave a strange smile. "No, but he's important." The ships launched within hours. 7 deep space vessels, each marked with only one symbol, a silver flame. That flame was Kalira's personal crest, and to those who understood its meaning, it meant only one thing: do not interfere. The null field was darker than they expected. Even their lights dimmed inside it. Communications failed. Sensor readings looped in static, but one signal cut through it all. A slow, repeating pulse. Human frequency. Kalira's teams followed it. Inch by inch, across shattered planets and collapsed wormholes, they found wreckage, bones, forgotten drones. Then, on the 4th planet of a broken system, they found it. A black box, half buried in red dust, covered in ancient Earth markings. The seal read, UN Zerora, mission lost. Inside the box was another recording. Different voice, robotic, but still human-made. Emergency log, 1 survivor. Life support active. Awaiting extraction. The timestamp made Kalira's blood freeze. 23 years ago. Almost exactly when Eli vanished. She played the file over and over. The robotic voice gave coordinates long forgotten. Barely outside charted space. The location was deep inside. The Shroud Rift, a place even her generals refused to explore. Ships disappeared there. Time bent. Stars blinked without warning. But Kalira didn't hesitate. She issued the order herself. Prepare my ship. Her staff panicked. Your Grace, this is suicide. You can't fly into the rift. It bends minds. But she was already walking to her private hangar. She didn't want to send others. She had to go herself. This wasn't politics. This was personal. Her royal cruiser, the Solstice Wind, launched the next morning. It was fitted with ancient gravity shields, quantum sails, and a new AI named VEX-7. Kalira didn't speak much during the journey. She stared out the windows as they moved through black storms, dead stars, and gravity burns. She listened to Eli's message again and again. I didn't leave you. What had forced him to disappear? Why hadn't he come back? And would he still remember her? 3 days into the rift, the ship hit a distortion field. The crew felt sick. Some passed out. Kalira stayed awake. She saw shapes outside the ship, old wrecks, drifting rocks, strange lights that didn't follow physics. And then, on the edge of a dying sun, they found it. A station. It looked like a spider's web, half broken, built from dozens of ships welded together. Old Earth tech. Pieces of human cargo vessels, deep space explorers, even a few alien parts. It was a fortress, quiet, floating, and still alive. Hooray, I confirmed it. Station detected. Life support, minimal. One heat source. Her breath caught. One person. Still alive. Kalira ordered a small shuttle. She went alone. Her guards screamed in protest, but she ignored them. Seal the ship behind me. If I don't return in 1 hour, go. No backup? Her captain asked. No backup, she said. He might run if he sees an army. The airlock hissed. Kalira stepped into the dark hallway. It smelled of oil, dust, and old air. Lights flickered. Some walls were hand-painted with strange symbols. There were no traps. No defenses. Just silence. She moved slowly, her steps echoing. In the metal halls, her cloak dragged behind her. The silence was thick, heavy. Then, a noise, metal shifting, and a voice. Low. Human. Double quotes. Who single quotes there? Her heart skipped. She turned a corner, and there he was. He looked older. His beard was gray, cut short. His body was thin but strong. A scar ran down his cheek. He held a tool in one hand, a wrench, turned into a weapon. He didn't raise it. He just stared. Their eyes met. Kalira didn't speak. She wanted to. So badly, but she didn't know how. He broke the silence first. Double quotes. Kale. Her throat locked. She nodded. He blinked. Then smiled. You came, he said softly. I found your message, she whispered. He leaned against the wall, suddenly looking exhausted, like holding those words in had taken years. You're not real, he said. I thought I dreamed you. Kalira stepped forward. You left. Eli nodded. Why? He looked down. And then he told her, after saving her. He had tried to leave the moon quietly, but a hidden drone recorded him. Someone in the Empire high up found the footage. They didn't like what they saw. A human, alone, succeeding where soldiers had failed. That was dangerous. They saw him as a threat. They sent people after me, Eli said. Not to thank me, to erase me. Kalira clenched her fists. Why didn't you tell me? He gave her a tired look. You were becoming Empress. I didn't want to ruin that. He pointed around the station. This place. It's not much, but it kept me alive. I watched the stars. I listened to news. You heard me speak your name, she whispered. He nodded. That's when I knew. Maybe I could return. But you didn't. I was afraid. Of me? No, of what I'd become. Kalira stepped closer. You're still the same man who pulled me from a crater. You're still the one who stayed up all night, just to say I'd be okay. He looked away, blinking fast. Then she smiled. I came to return the words. She reached out, touched his hand. You'll be okay, Eli, this time. I'm not leaving without you. He didn't cry, but he let her hold his hand, and for the first time in 2 decades, Eli believed the words. Outside, the solstice wind waited. And for the first time in galactic history, the Empress would return with a human at her side, not as a prisoner, not as a threat, but as something more. He was lost, but not by chance. Someone wanted him gone. The stars outside the solstice wind drifted by like silent watchers as the Empress and Eli returned from the abandoned station. Eli's hand still trembled in hers. A fragile connection between 2 worlds, 2 lives entwined by fate and silence. But inside the great capital, something darker awaited. Back on Vorn Prime, the Imperial Palace glittered under its twin suns. The Grand Council chamber buzzed with tension. The Empress's unexpected return with a living human had shattered centuries of quiet rules. Whispers rippled like wildfire. Some celebrated the miracle. Others feared it. Within the council, a shadow stirred. A man known as Varek Solon, head of the Internal Security Division, watched the news feeds in cold silence. His face was hard, carved with lines of suspicion and quiet rage. He had been watching Eli for years. Even before the Empress sent the search ships, Varek's orders had always been clear. Erase any sign of human survivors. The message was simple. Humans were dangerous. Unpredictable. A threat. Eli's existence threatened everything Varek had worked for. Eli's alive, the Empress said during a secret meeting with her closest advisors. Her voice was steady, but filled with fire. We must protect him. Find out who tried to erase him, and stop them. Her advisors exchanged worried looks. This is dangerous, one said. We risk civil war, another whispered. You risk your throne. But Kalira did not waver. I risk the truth. Meanwhile, Varek moved fast and sent spies into the palace. They hacked data streams. They searched for the names of anyone who helped Eli. One by one, her trusted aides were questioned. One of them, Mira Tellin, a communications officer and longtime friend to the Empress, was taken in for questioning. Myra knew the stakes. She had helped hide the message from the null field. She had helped decode the voice. She had believed in Eli. The interrogation chamber was cold. Metal walls echoed the sound of dripping water. Varek's voice was sharp. Who is he? Mira looked away. He's not just a man, she said quietly. He's hope. Varek slammed his fist on the table. Hope is a weakness. You forget your duty. In the shadows, the palace was turning against itself. A hidden war had begun. The Empress knew this. She watched her closest allies become prisoners of fear. She watched her empire crack. Kalira decided to act. She summoned Eli to the council chamber. The moment he stepped inside, the room fell silent. Many counselors stared. A human was rare enough. But a human at the Empress's side? Unthinkable. Eli looked around. He saw the suspicion. The fear. The curiosity. He didn't speak. Kalira stood. This is the man who saved my life. She held his hand. He is my friend. Then she revealed the secret she had kept for years. The attacks on Eli were not random. They were ordered. From inside this very council. Gasps. Shouts. Some counselors demanded proof. Kalira nodded. She pressed a button. Screens around the room lit up with hacked footage. The footage showed shadowy figures, masked agents breaking into remote colonies, erasing data, hunting humans. Final scene was clear. A group of assassins trying to kill Eli years ago on Telvar 8. This is treason. One shouted. Yes, Kalira said. And it's only the beginning. Varek's agents tried to storm the chamber. But the Empress was ready. Her royal guards blocked the doors, the rebellion inside. The palace had begun. Ile watched it all quietly. He had been hunted for years. But now, the danger was real and close. Kalira turned to him. "We need your strength," she said. "You are not alone anymore." Outside, news spread. The galaxy watched the empire fracture. Whispers of rebellion, whispers of revolution. And through it all, the Empress. He was a prisoner before the trial. The Empire built a cage, but the Empress held the key. The air in the Imperial detention block was cold and silent. Metal walls reflected harsh lights. Eli sat alone in the center of a small cell. His hands were free, but his body was tired. Years of running had left marks on his skin and soul. He did not understand the charges against him: suspicion of treason, illegal presence in Empire space, endangering the stability of the Galactic Council. Words that echoed through the halls, but made no sense to him. He only knew one thing: he was trapped. Outside the cell, guards changed shifts in perfect order. Each one watched Eli with a mix of fear and curiosity. They whispered stories about the human who had saved an Empress and vanished for decades. Many doubted the stories, but they saw the steel in his eyes. Kalira stood in the observation room, watching him through thick glass. Her face was calm, but her heart thundered. She had saved the Empire from war. Now she fought to save one man. A knock on the door. Her chief aide, Mira Tellin, entered. "We've secured the chamber, but the council grows restless. They want Eli gone," Kalira said softly. Myra nodded. "They want the Empire to forget him." Kalira looked away. "They won't," she whispered. Eli sat on the hard bench and stared at the ceiling. His thoughts drifted back to Tel Var-8.2. Kalira, bleeding in the crater. To the night he stayed awake to guard her. He remembered his own promise. "You'll be okay." Suddenly, a loud alarm blared through the detention block. Guards rushed outside. Kalira's cum crackled. "Empress, security. Breach, intruders detected." She grabbed her cloak. "Prepare for a fight." Outside, in the shadowed corridors, masked figures moved quickly. They were mercenaries hired by council factions. Their goal: kidnap Eli. Eli heard footsteps. He stood slowly. His body ached, but his mind sharpened. The cell door hissed open. 2 guards stormed in, but before they could act, Eli sprang forward. He knocked one guard out with a quick strike. The other stumbled back, shocked. "Run!" Eli shouted. He didn't wait. He sprinted down the hall. The mercenaries caught him at the next corridor. Blasters fired. Eli ducked and rolled. He grabbed a loose pipe from the floor. With every move, he fought like a cornered animal. Kalira led the palace guards in a counterattack. They raced through the halls, weapons drawn. Her voice commanded, "Protect Eli at all costs." Eli broke through a heavy door and found himself in an old armory. Dust-covered, ancient. Weapons. His chest heaved. He grabbed a small energy pistol. It wasn't much, but it was enough. The fight raged on. Guards shouted. Mercenaries cursed. Eli's shots rang out. He was quick, smart, and desperate. Kalira's forces sealed the corridors. Slowly, the palace grew quiet again. Eli finally stopped behind a pillar. He leaned against the cold stone, breathing hard. His eyes scanned every shadow. Wasn't just fighting for his life. He was fighting for a future. Back in her chamber, Kalira monitored the battle. She thought about the cost of power. She thought about the man who made her believe in mercy. The council was broken. The empire was cracked, but their hope was alive. Eli sent a quiet message to Kalira. "I'm still here." She smiled and whispered back, "I will find you." The next days were tense. The council demanded Eli's trial. It was a political show. Kalira prepared her defense. She knew the truth, and she would not let the past be erased. The trial day arrived. The chamber was packed. The galaxy watched. Eli stood quietly. His eyes met Kalira's. She nodded. The judge read the charges. Eli listened. Then, when the time came, he spoke. His voice was strong, clear. I am not a threat. I saved a life. I never wanted power. The court erupted. Some shouted for mercy. Others called for punishment. Kalira stood. She spoke with the weight of a ruler. This man is my hero. He's a symbol of hope. He represents what this empire can be. Her words moved some. They angered others. But the trial ended with a shocking verdict. Eli was freed. The empire was divided. Some cheered. Others prepared for rebellion. Kalira knew the war was not over, but she had won the first battle. Eli stepped outside the court. The crowd was mixed. He saw fear, but he also saw hope. He looked at Kalira and said quietly, "Thank you." She smiled. "No, Eli, thank you." The galaxy was changing. A new era was starting. Not every revolution begins with war. Some begin with a whisper and the truth behind a scar. The capital city of the Zerelian Empire had not slept for 3 nights. After the trial, the air felt different, tense and alive. Some called it a victory. Others called it betrayal. But no one could ignore it. Something had changed inside the palace. Kalira stood on her balcony and looked down at the sea of people below. Thousands had gathered. Some held banners with Eli's face. Others shouted angry words. But all of them, every voice waited for her next move. Behind her, Eli stood silently. In the Empress's private chamber, his face was calm, but his mind raced. He had been hunted, locked up, nearly killed. Now he was free, but free to do what? Kalira turned around. She was wearing her full ceremonial robe, the same one worn by every ruler during times of great change. She looked at Eli. "I have something to say," she said softly. "To the Empire?" She shook her head. "To you." Eli blinked. "I'm listening." Kalira stepped closer. Her voice shook slightly. "When you disappeared, I searched every system, every outpost. I sent people across stars." Eli looked away. "I didn't think anyone wanted me found." "I did," she said, her tone sharper. "I never gave up." There was silence between them. Then Kalira stepped forward and gently placed her hand on his chest, right over the scar. "You saved me, Eli. But that's not why I searched for you." "Then why?" he asked. She took a deep breath. "Because I loved you." Eli froze. The words didn't feel like a political move or a royal trap. They felt real. They felt heavy. They felt like the truth. "You were a soldier," she whispered. "I was a ruler. We were never supposed to meet. But you looked at me like I was human, not a crown. That changed everything." Eli stared into her eyes. His voice was rough. "I wanted to come back, but I thought I wasn't good enough. Not for you, not for this empire." Kalira smiled through tears. "You were more than enough." Outside, the crowd grew louder. The palace comes buzzed. A palace guard rushed in. "Your Majesty." "They're demanding answers." Kalira turned to Eli. "Then let's give them the truth." She led him to the balcony. The crowd gasped as they saw her with him. Human, a former prisoner, a ghost from the Empire's past. Kalira raised her hand, and silence slowly fell. She spoke with no script, only truth. "This man stood against death to protect me. This man ran from power, not toward it. This man carries a scar that should have been mine." She turned to Eli. "Show them." Eli hesitated, but then, slowly, he opened the collar of his shirt. The scar across his chest shimmered in the sunlight. A long, rough mark where alien steel had pierced. Human flesh. The crowd stared, and something began to shift in their hearts. Kalira spoke again. He never asked for reward, never asked for praise. but I will give him one truth the Empire has never seen. She stepped forward, and in full view of the people, she knelt, gasps echoed across the plaza, an Empress kneeling. Not to a council, not to a fleet, but to a human, to a man without a crown, without a title. She looked up. I bow not to your race, not to your strength, but to your choice. You chose to protect when you could have walked away. Eli helped her to her feet. He didn't speak. He didn't have to. The moment said enough. The speech was broadcast. Across all star systems, some cheered, some raged, but all remembered it. Later that night, Eli sat in the quiet gardens behind the palace. Kalira walked beside him. You could leave now, she said softly. The council can't touch you. You're a free man. Eli looked at the stars. I've been running my whole life. Maybe it's time to stop. She smiled. Will you stay? He nodded. For now. For you. A few weeks passed. The Empire began to shift. Old laws were reviewed. New peace talks began. For the first time in centuries, the outer colony sent envoys not in fear, but in hope. The council watched with uneasy eyes. They didn't trust the human, but they couldn't deny the results. In a private council meeting, a Zerelian elder whispered, maybe this is what we needed. A reminder that even a lost soul can carry light. Back in the palace, Kalira walked the halls with Eli. He was not her guard anymore, not her enemy, not her mystery. He was her partner, and together, they began the quiet work of healing an empire. But one night, as the twin moons rose, Eli said something unexpected. I want to return to Earth. Kalira looked surprised. Why? He smiled. To tell them I'm not just alive, but that there's a future. She nodded. Will you come back? He took her hand. I will, but this time, I want to come back with you. The Empress of Zerel stood under the stars, and for the first time in her rule, she didn't feel alone. They boarded a royal shuttle a week later. Two symbols of two worlds, not as rulers and soldiers, but as people. As partners. The galaxy watched their ship vanish into the void. Some feared what was coming, others prayed for it. But one thing was clear: the old era had ended, and the new one? It began not with fire or war. But with a scar, a choice.